Welcome back. This is Family Time 170. We're continuing to talk about relationship skills. And I want you to spend some time this week examining your social circles. Last week we talked about different groups and teams. We belong to a lot of different groups. That includes our social circles. Sometimes, hopefully, we have some social circles that really have that team feeling, where we feel uplifted and supported by other people. But that's what I want you thinking about. Our social circles are very important at every age, and they do impact us. It's funny having my own children and working with all of you and seeing especially that transition of the time that I work with you from 6th grade through your senior year, and seeing the changes that happen sometimes between your social circles, who you're hanging around, who's maybe impacting you in that way. And it's funny. When you're young, your social circle is kind of your family. Those are the people having the most impact on you. And you may go to daycare, you may stay with other people who are outside your family, you may even live with other people, but you're a little more isolated. You only know, what's in the environment around you. And as you get a little bit older, and this is always, it's kind of a challenging thing for a parent. I mean, it's good, it's the natural order of things, but it is concerning sometimes as a parent, because when you're really young, we get a lot of control over our kids. They're only exposed to the things that we show them. And we can kind of cater what they're getting, the information they're being exposed to. And then you all get a little older, and your friend groups, your social circles start to have more impact on you. And you start to spend more time in your social circles than you do at home, than you do with your parents. It's kind of a scary thing as a parent, but it's important for all of us to recognize who's in our social circles and how are those social circles impacting us. It's an inevitable thing, and it's the way it should be. You should create your own friendship groups and your own social groups. But there's a lot of stuff out there to consider. I think it's funny when I see in middle school, and this is not a judgment to the middle school students, but like you hit that age where you all start kind of dressing the same and you all start having the same stuff. I mean, like, you could probably look around the classroom right now and how many girls are wearing leggings with Birkenstocks and white Nike socks that are folded down in a certain way, and a large sweatshirt and a Stanley insulated cup of a variety of colors. Like, again, that's not bad. My daughter's probably one of you, but it's an interesting thing to think about how our social circles start impacting us. Like, I didn't even know, when I heard middle school girls talking about Stanley Cups the first time, I thought they were talking about hockey. If you don't know, the championship trophy for the NHL, the National Hockey League, is called the Stanley Cup. So when I kept hearing these girls talking about how they wanted Stanley Cups for Christmas, I was confused. And now they're all over the place, and that's what I'm talking about. Those things influence us. And things like that, for the most part, the clothes we wear and things, we're all impacted by those things. We're all impacted by certain trends and certain styles and things like that. That's not that big of a deal until some of our outside influences maybe start to change who we are at a core level, impact our values. So it's just an important thing to think about. How are we being impacted by the people around us, by our environments? And it's important to understand we can use that. There's an old saying that says we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. It tends to be pretty accurate. If you look around at people, spend some time trying to examine other people's social circles. If you're a really dedicated student athlete and you're really focused on achieving good grades and things like that, probably, at least at some point in your career, you start to gravitate toward and group up with other students who are similar in that regard. If you're somebody who really loves to work down in the shop and you really like to work on your car, or you're really like big time into the farm at home and things like that, sometimes you start to group up with other people who have similar interests that way. Those aren't necessarily bad things so long as we don't fall into excluding other people from our groups or labeling other people as different than us. That's when it becomes dangerous. But we naturally sort of gravitate towards people with similar interests and similar passions. That's okay. But if we want to make a change, sometimes we have to change who's in our social circle. I see that sometimes with students when it's never a judgment. I want what is best for all of you, and I want you to find the things that you're passionate about. But sometimes if I see a student who's maybe fallen in with a particular group of people, maybe who's not even in our school, or it's some of the things maybe they're exposed to at home when they have a difficult situation at home, and I'm like, oh, you need to separate yourself from some of these influences. You need to distance yourself from some of these people. That's a really hard thing too, because we can still care about people and want what's best for them and recognize that at that moment they may not be best for us. That we can step back a little bit so that we can surround ourselves with people who do give us that team feeling, who do back us up and support us. And it's important for us to be selective with our social circles. That's another thing I worry about. You're all so connected with social media and things like that, and it's very easy to make connections to other people, and we don't really know them. We have to be cautious about that. I'm pretty choosy with my social circles. Sometimes my friends or my wife will kind of joke that like I don't know who people are. Or like somebody say, you know where so-and-so lives? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, well, how do you not know where they live? They've lived there forever. You're from here. I'm like, what? I don't concern myself with that. I don't make space in my head for people who are not in my immediate circle. I've got my people, and I want to be able to support them. I appreciate them supporting me. Like, this is my group. My focus is there. And that includes all the students that I work with. That includes all of you. It's like, okay, well, my focus is on them, but sometimes I don't know outside stuff, or I don't know where you live or what your background is outside of what is applicable to what we're doing and how I can help you. That's me trying to be choosy with, okay, I'm selective about who I'm giving my energy to and who I'm letting into that circle, and we need to be selective with that sometimes. You got to be aware of who's in your group and who's influencing you. So that's what I want you to think about this week. Think about what are some social circles to which you belong. How do those circles impact you? Really identify the ones that are healthy, the ones that are most beneficial, and why those are most beneficial. Until next time, much love.